Hare Krishna. Welcome to the morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We will begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimiraandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् सुशुश्रूषददानस्य वासुदेवकथारुचि स्यान्महत्सेवया विप्रा पुण्यतीर्थनिषेवनात् शृण्वता स्वकथः कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृद्यन्तस्थो यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सताम् नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी तदा रजस्तमो भाव कामलोभादयश्च ये चेतयेतेरनाविद्धं स्थितं सत्त्वे प्रसीदति एवं प्रसन्नमनसो भगवद्भक्तियोगतः भगवत्तत्त्वविज्ञानं मुक्तसङ्गस्य जायते विद्यते हृदयग्रन्थिश्छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयः क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि दृष्ट एवात्मनीश्वरे ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Okay, so we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 3, verse number 2. It's a very nice verse about Krishna's pastimes outside of Vrindavan. This is one of the main pastimes that we can really appreciate also. Sandipane sakritproktam brahmaditya savistaram tasmai pradadvaram putram mritam panchajanodarat. Sandipane sakritproktam brahmaditya savistaram tasmai pradadvaram putram mritam panchajanodarat. Sandipane sakritproktam brahmaditya savistaram tasmai pradadvaram putram mritam panchajanodarat. Sandipane of Sandipani Muni, Sakrit once only, Proktam instructed, Brahma all the Vedas with their different branches of knowledge, Aditya after studying, Sa Vistaram in all details, Tasmai unto him, Pradat rewarded, Varam a benediction, Putram his son, Mritam who was already dead, Panchajana the region of the departed souls. Udarat from within. Translation. The Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. Purport. No one but the Supreme Lord can become well versed in all the branches of Vedic wisdom simply by hearing once from his teacher. Nor can anyone bring a dead body back to life after the soul has already gone to the region of Yamaraj. But Lord Krishna ventured to the planet of Yamaloka and found the dead son of his teacher and brought him back to his father as a reward for the instructions received. The Lord is constitutionally well versed in all the Vedas, and yet, to teach by example that everyone must go to learn the Vedas from an authorized teacher and must satisfy the teacher by service and reward, he himself adopted this system. The Lord offered his services to his teacher, Sandipani Muni, and the Muni, knowing the power of the Lord, asked something which was impossible to be done by anyone else. The teacher asked that his beloved son, who had died, be brought back to him, and the Lord fulfilled the request. The Lord is not, therefore, an ingrate to anyone who renders him some sort of service. The devotees of the Lord who always engage in his loving service are never to be disappointed in the progressive march of devotional service. So, this is the verse for today. The pastime of um, Krishna and Balaram bringing back the dead son of Sandipani Muni from the abode of Yamraj. So, Prabhupada starts the purport by saying, no one but the Supreme Lord can become well versed in all the branches of Vedic wisdom simply by hearing once from his teacher. Here, this particular verse is actually half of the chapter in 10th canto, chapter 45. Beginning from 30th verse onwards, is the rest of the chapter is this pastime. And in there are descriptions given of what all Krishna actually learned in Sandipani Muni's ashram. They both, as Krishna and Balaram, basically. So they after getting their Upanayana or initiation, second initiation for them, Upanayana is just initiation. Then they went to Sandipani Muni's ashram to learn everything. And when they went, they quickly learned all the Vedas and Upavedas and all the six corollaries or the branches of Vedas, everything. After learning everything, there were the other 64 arts that one one can learn. So they learned all the 64 arts in 64 days and nights. That's what is given. And some of the arts that are given are very interesting. When waking up as the spiritual master at dawn, it's one of the arts. Those kind of, it's very nice to just see how every single thing is it becomes much more internal, meditative when it's learned from someone who has done it or someone who was teaching it. So some of those things that we may think, oh, what's there in this? Why should one learn from a spiritual master these things, or from a guru, from a teacher these things? But actually, everything that one does when we just observe and learn from advanced learned people for us in terms for us devotees, it becomes very meditative because one who is advanced is not just doing the activity, they're doing it meditation through that activity too. So that's what came to me when I saw that list given in chapter 10, I mean, canto 10, chapter 45. And then Krishna and Balram learned everything in 64 days and nights. So after their learning was over, then they wanted to offer some Guru Dakshina from an offering. And it says in again, It's an offering of devotion. So it's bhakti offering from Krishna to his devotee, to Sandipani Muni. So now they go and ask Sandipani Muni, what would you like us to do in terms of remuneration? And then Sandipani Muni thinks a little bit, and then he takes some time to discuss with his wife what would be a fit thing to even ask such students, because they're not like ordinary students. He has observed, Sandipani Muni has observed Krishna and Balaram for all these days, and he has seen how quick they are at learning, how um, um, they are like an embodiment of all the wonderful qualities of a disciple. So then Sandipani Muni asks, I can't just simply ask something very ordinary to these extraordinary students. So then in consultation with his wife, he he asks, you can, your remuneration is, if you can bring back my son who's already dead, bring him back to me. Then as soon as they hear, Krishna and Balaram quickly leave, and this whole uh, initially they go to Prabhas. That's where when Sandipani Muni and his family went for a vacation, pilgrimage actually. Their son, they lost their son there when they were taking a bath in the ocean. So they Krishna and Balaram go, and when they go, they just go and sit at the shore of the ocean for a few minutes, and then immediately the ocean god, he realizes that, oh, Krishna and Balaram they have come to meet me. And then he quickly goes in front of Krishna and Balaram and offers his obeisances. Now Krishna takes the Supreme Lord role. Until now it was like a student role. Now as soon as the ocean god comes, and Krishna takes the role of an authority. Then he says, um, bring back my guru's son to me here now. He tells in authoritative tone. Then ocean god says, you know what, I did not do anything. I didn't take him, and but I know who did it. It is Panchajana, who actually is a demon who's residing in my waters, and I don't have power to defeat him. And he was the one who took your teacher's son. And as soon as Krishna hears that, he does a deep dive into the ocean. He just goes into the ocean, and then we know that he defeats Panchajana. And then the conch shell that grew around the body of this demon is now this called as Panchajanya. So he brings Panchajanya, uh, um, the conch shell, but he couldn't find his guru's son, Sandipani Muni's son there. He defeated the demon, he killed the demon, and then he got the conch shell, but he couldn't find the Sandipani Muni's son. So then, well, there are descriptions of Panchajana is also not exactly just a demon. He's just like Jaya and Vijaya, who had actually come from the spiritual world and they just become demon. So that's what is written in 10th canto. Then he takes Panchajanya is also an eternal companion of Krishna. This is the conch shell that he uses when he blows the conch shell along with Arjuna in the Kurukshetra war. So now conch shell is there, everything is, but then sun is not there. But Krishna immediately understands where the sun would have gone. The dead people with karma, they go to Yamaraj's abode. So now Krishna and Balaram go to Yamaraj's abode, Samyamanipuri. And then when they go to Yamaraj's abode, from outside, Krishna actually blows that Panchajanya conch shell. And when he blows Panchajanya conch shell, um, what happens is Yamaraj understands who has come. So he comes out and then offers all full paraphernalia, artik, and the whole worship and everything to Krishna and Balaram. The Yamaraj is a devotee. We know he is one of the Mahajans. And then But by just hearing the conch shell, the sound of the conch shell, what happens is all the residents of the hellish planets get liberated. Not just liberated, actually, they get prema bhakti. That's what is written in 10th canto. They get prema bhakti. All their prarabdha karma, which brought them to this far, is defeated now, and they get prema bhakti just by hearing the sound of the conch shell. And then the hellish planets, they have specific different hellish planets, right? Kumbhipaka and different planets of hell. There are trees that have leaves which are like knives. So that's that's one of the hellish region where that kind of a punishment is given to the souls who have entered into that specific region. And the leaves of those trees which are like swords, the leaves dry up just by hearing the conch shell of Krishna, Panchajanya conch shell, when he blows. And similarly, Kumbhipaka is the souls get cooked in there. So the whole cooking and the heat, everything stops. So basically, all the hellish uh, planets are devoid of their hellishness at this point. So this what happens, and then uh, Krishna asks Yamaraj to bring. Uh, Actually, Krishna really appreciates Yamaraj. He says first that I know that you're following my orders to uh, to what do you call, to actually award punishment for the conditioned souls according to their karma. So now I'm giving the second order, bring the son of my guru in front of me right now. Then he says, yes, you are all following my previous order. Now the latest order takes effect. So just bring him in front of me right now. And then they bring Yamaraj's assistants. They bring Sandipani Muni's son. And then Sandipani Muni's son and Krishna and Balaram, everybody leave and come back to Sandipani Muni. That's the pastime. And the things that to notice in one sense for understanding is Krishna, it's not like an overstatement when we hear in scriptures that even prarabdha karma is taken care when we perform devotional service. Nectar of Devotion says, quotes a verse from Padma Purana, if I'm right. Lord Shiva tells Parvati Devi that all these different prarabdha, prarabdha karma, kutam, bijam, all these different types of karma are there. But one who has taken up the worship of Vishnu or Krishna will all these karmas are eradicated. So this is the first effect of sadhana bhakti actually, which is kleshagni or cessation of material miseries. So it's not an overstatement that even prarabdha karma is actually stopped. Yes, prarabdha karma will be stopped when we leave our body because it's already manifest, but it is done, it's taken, it's not, there's no carryover. Once one becomes a pure devotee, there's no carryover of prarabdha karma. So here, just by being um, uh, Sandipani Muni's son, he got delivered, just like Lord Chaitanya delivers Amogha. I mean, that's a different background, but still, just because Amogha was the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So this prarabdha karma is defeated. So the rules of karma does not apply when Krishna comes into the scene. And same way, the rules of mundane dharma also doesn't apply. They don't apply when Krishna comes. Because Yamaraj actually followed dharma, is Dharmaraj, Yamaraj is Dharmaraj. So he's a king of dharma. And then he followed what he was told to do. But still, even when Krishna comes, even rules of dharma also don't apply. Rules of karma, rules of dharma, everything is defeated. just by having, bhakti to Krishna. When Krishna enters, I would say when Krishna enters one's life, that's what happens. So that's an inspiration. And then when we read the rest of the purport here from the third canto, third chapter, second verse, um, Prabhupada explains that the Lord is constitutionally well versed in all the Vedas, and yet to teach by example that everyone must go to learn the Vedas from an authorized teacher and must satisfy the teacher by service and reward, he himself adopted this system. So Krishna does not just only speak the principles, he actually exemplifies it. He did speak the principle in Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. He says that te upadeshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshanaha. So he tells that one must serve in a submissive spirit and inquire from the spiritual master and learn the absolute truth because he knows the absolute truth. So here he Krishna does this by service and reward. He himself adopted the system. The Lord offered his services to his teacher. This particular section offered his services to the teacher. One of the most famous examples is Sudama and Krishna going to the forest to collect firewood for the teacher Sandipani Muni. Despite all the storm and the crazy rain that night, so they still go and do their services. So the Lord offered his services to Sandipani Muni, and the Muni, knowing the power of the Lord, asked something which was impossible to be done by anyone else. So the Lord is not therefore an ingrate to anyone who renders some sort of service. There's another um, quality of Krishna which gives more and more inspiration and reassurance. The Lord never forgets any small service rendered to him at any level. So therefore, we all are, um, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his followers, we all are engaged in some service, some way or the other, to Krishna and to the spiritual master, which actually Krishna never forgets. So he does reciprocate, and the reciprocation he does may be inconceivable at times, or it may be too big for us to um, handle at this point. So he waits for the right moment to give uh, the the reward or the what do you call his reciprocation. But he will not just sit tightly there and watching everything what we're doing, what we're not doing, and keeping an account. He's not like that. He's more of a he's real person who reciprocates. So the Lord is so therefore Prabhupada tells in this last sentence that Lord is not therefore an ingrate to anyone who renders him some sort of service. The devotees of the Lord who always engage in his service are never to be disappointed, or never to be disappointed in the progressive march of devotional service. So this is the basis on which we are recommended to be, or we would be, we will be able to be enthusiastic in our devotional service, just like Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairyat will happen when we know who's on the other end and what are they capable of doing and what they are willing to do in this relationship of a devotee and the servitor and the served. So when we know, when we see the other side, and that also gives actually a lot of enthusiasm here. And Krishna never fails his devotees. So here we'll just read the verse one more time. Sandipane sakrit proktam brahmaditya savistaram tasmai pradat varam putram vritam pancha janodarat. The Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. So that's the verse for today. If anyone would like to share your inspiration, please feel free. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All
Hare
glories to
Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept mine too, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for that pastime and the way you were narrating. It's so visual, like Krishna, how he's transitioning from that student, very submissive, to authoritative. It's very pleasing, and it's nice to know that Krishna has everything in him. It's kind of a visual for that. And I have some technical question. I know my mind is going. I don't know the time frame. It might be like many years ago, right? So the soul is still there at the Yamaraj's abode when Krishna went back. So that's very interesting. How long, the soul will be there in the hellish planets?
Yes, until the until one learns the lesson for the next life.
Oh my.
Meaning one gets acclimatized or accommodated to what all if for example, I mean, I don't know the details, but I've heard that one first definitely pays off for whatever one has done, and then if one has to really take a body of a hog from then on, it's not easy to just go from a human body to a hog body and eat the excreta of the human.
Krishna.
One has to say that, okay, that's much better than this treatment and hellish planets. I'm okay, I'll go there. So that's my understanding. So it takes a while to pay off the dues and learn to accommodate to the next one.
Wow, all the more reason to become serious and sincere now.
Just wearing kanti mala sincerely.
I also like the point you brought up about Amoga and Sandipani Muni's son. I was thinking they're at least related to a devotee, and all these living entities or the souls in the hellish planet, they just happen to have a devotee around. They're not even directly related, and they're like the most sinful people lying around there. So I was just thinking, in whatever situation, I think just hang out with the devotees. Whatever condition I am in, it doesn't really matter because of their connection with Krishna. Somehow, Krishna may give direct darshan or indirect. His presence is there. So somehow that was very, very inspiring for me. The power of devotee association. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and the power of sound vibration. At that time, it was Krishna blowing his conch shell, but for now, it is Harinam. When we go out and do Sankirtan festivals on the street and do Harinam, that is the sound vibration that's going to help each and every living entity around there and us to come out of that sort of hellish situations, whatever they may be. So it's a sound vibration also actually. That was my appreciation too. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Mataji. Anyone else, devotees? Would you like to share something?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept mine too, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Mataji, I have a clarification. I remember hearing that Krishna went to Sandipani Muni's ashram because he didn't know the divinity, or like he didn't know Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because otherwise, if anybody who knew, they wouldn't be able to take on that position of a teacher.
Yeah. I was looking for a
Right?
reference for that. I didn't spend too much time, but yes, I have heard that as well. I've heard
Yeah, I
that
heard
as
from
well.
Maharaj that.
Yes.
So, but then also Sandipamani, you mentioned that Sandipamani asked Krishna because he knew the task was impossible, but only Krishna will be able to do it.
Yes.
So in one sense, did he, I was just wondering about that
That's
point.
that is the observation that he did over the time period Krishna and Balaram stayed there in Sandipani Muni's ashram. Who can learn everything in 64 days and 64 nights? I mean, in one sense, it is definitely superhuman. Even with that understanding, you know. Yeah. And the other, we can even compare to some extent. Sorry. We can even, I was remembering how Dronacharya keeps this test of binding Drupada and bringing, and only Arjuna could do it. So I think he knew even beforehand that only Arjuna could do it. Duryodhan cannot do, others would not be able to do, only Arjuna could do. But, you know, so the teacher, by observing, the student also knows what would be their ability to offer.
Okay.
And they reciprocate. You know, now our fee system that we have is all across the board. Everybody pays this much amount to get education. But those days, everything was individualized. You know, according to they respected the students. Therefore, that's not just unanimity or something. It was more. Now it is equal opportunity style, but there it was equal opportunity but individualized.
Okay.
That was my appreciation. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank
Mataji.
you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
And Pranam
Can
Prabhu.
can I ask you a clarification,
I'll try, Prabhu. Yes.
Krishna? Mataji, I did not hear complete discourse, but I heard, maybe I heard it not right. You made a statement, something like Krishna is more towards the bhakti than dharma. So I was confused because dharmam to sakshat bhagavat pranitam. So there is no difference between Lord and dharma. How he is even make dharma lower than bhakti, because I mean they go hand in hand. So I was confused. Can you please throw some light on that? Any examples so I can more clarity on that, Mataji?
I'll try to share, Prabhu. So in this particular chapter, that point came up when Krishna met Yamaraj to bring back the son of Sandipani Muni. And he addresses Yamaraj by saying, "O King of Dharma, you are actually following Dharma perfectly, and you are following actually my orders of uh, punishing the conditioned living entities who have left their bodies according to their karma. That was my previous order. But as soon as when I enter or bhakti enters, you should understand that the previous order is overruled. So therefore, the principles of dharma don't work here because bhakti has entered. Therefore, my latest command or order would be to bring the son of my guru here. So that's that. In that context, this topic came that Krishna Bhakti is above dharma. And what you're saying, dharmam to sakshat bhagavat pranitam, also matters. So now I was thinking that what is the ultimate dharma? Then that's what comes in Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parityaja. That's the ultimate dharma. So yes, we are following certain rules and regulations that are given to us in to conduct our life in a socially acceptable dharmic way, following the Vedic scriptures or the words of God. But when God himself enters and tells something else, then all the other things don't matter. So
That
Krishna
becomes dharma.
that becomes because ultimate dharma is actually abiding by Krishna.
Yeah, that's
Or
what I was thinking. Yeah, thank you, man. That is what clarified.
Thank
Whatever
you, Prabhu.
Krishna says, that is dharma. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
whether
Yes.
previously said, or if Krishna says something else, that becomes dharma because
That becomes
he is.
dharma. He's the master. Yeah,
He can
yeah.
change the program what he created.
Yes, yes. And he does it so very carefully that when when what he says now gives much more benefit to the living entity than what he said before. So
Yeah,
his concern is about the welfare of the living entity.
correct. Yeah,
So he may say something that defeated what he said before. So that means the other dharma is actually a step lower than paradharma. So he may say the paradharma is sticking to Krishna's
maybe it
words.
is circumstantial. Krishna is
Yeah,
making.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, Mataji. That's
Thank you,
very
Prabhu.
good. One more question. I have this when you were talking about Sandeepan Muni. It's very interesting. Krishna was able to bring his son back, but Krishna was able to save even Parikshit Maharaj because, but he did not bring his 5 sons of Draupadi. Very interesting. He was able to do for some things, but maybe they didn't ask him
They
to
didn't
bring him
ask
back.
him. There was no asking
Um,
there.
Otherwise, you would
They
have done
were
that.
probably. And there is a plan behind all that. Parikshit is the ruler. So,
Yeah. So
and they
it's
didn't
the end of
ask
the
also.
day, a
Yeah.
devotee has to ask Krishna for anything. Krishna will not do unless you ask.
That's also nice to put it like how Prabhupada says the duck that quacks get the feed, quacks louder, get the feed or something like that.
Yeah.
So we
I
want
mean,
the
now I
chanting.
was thinking more, in Ishopanishad, the last verses, take it out
Yeah.
that, that makes more sense. Krishna wants you to ask.
Yeah, he loves to
He
interact
loves,
with
right?
us. He loves to
That's
interact
amazing.
with us because he just doesn't want to sit there and just observe and give.
Yeah,
Yeah, he will do that also if needed. But then he also likes, and I think it's natural to have a conversation in a relationship.
correct.
If it is one-way traffic, then you don't feel that interaction is there. Then the
Yeah.
relationship in one sense is on one side.
I mean, so many places Krishna displays that, right now, you better ask me. Then I will come and
Yeah,
do it for Draupadi and Dharmaraj. Same thing, right? He was able to save Parishit, but he did not save the 5, sons of Pandava. Amazing how Lord is.
yeah. Yeah, he reciprocates according to individual relationship,
Yeah.
and he's
Thank you,
happy
Mataji.
doing that. Yeah,
Very
thank you,
nice.
Prabhu. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Mataji, I remember Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble
Please accept my
obeisances.
obeisances.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
When Pani Prabhu was talking about that
Panduranga
one,
Gopal Prabhu. Okay.
Panduranga Prabhu was talking about that one, I remembered Krishna did not bring back Pradyumna, who was mysteriously taken away from his
Yeah.
mother,
Yes.
and she
Yes.
suffered so much in separation. Actually,
Yes.
it
Yes.
is that thing. I always used to think how Krishna allowed that to happen. His first son by Rukmini Devi, how that
Yeah.
happened. So I was thinking, Lord allows things to happen even in his dearmost. Hmm? Rukmini Devi's case. So I was
Yeah.
thinking about that one. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Mm.
Thank you. Okay, we are at 8:09. So we will pause here and resume tomorrow. But it's just a beautiful verse actually exemplifying the service a disciple does for one's teacher, spiritual master. And that's even the first most important item of devotional service listed in Nectar of Devotion, chapter 6. There are 64 items, and the first 3 are taking shelter, initiation, and service. So now this particular topic has come through Krishna Lila itself. So thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.